Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Starting the Day the Way. Technical issues again. Welcome to Starting the Day the Right Way 5-minute devotion for November 6th, 2020. All right, I am excited for today's verse. So, before I get into today's verse, when my little guy was younger, I forgot how old, maybe 3 or 4, and we were trying to teach him to hear from God and hear the prompting of God, and trying to teach him about honesty. And our saying that me and my wife say to him a lot is to check your heart in matters. So one night, me and my wife told him to go upstairs, get ready for bed, and we hear toys playing around and stuff like that. And in actuality, we were later found out he was putting away his toys. We thought he was playing with his toys. So, I shouted up there. I said, Christian, you gotta get ready for bed. And if you don't do it, whatever, you're gonna lose your dessert for tomorrow night. And we still heard him. So I said, okay, you lost dessert. And he started crying. And so we went up there, both of us, and I said, he's like, but Daddy, I was just putting away my toys. I promise, I promise. I said, okay, buddy. I said, here's what we're going to do. All 3 of us are going to pray, okay? Now, if you're lying, God's going to tell Daddy, and God's going to tell Mommy, and God will tell you. But if you're telling the truth, God will tell Mommy, God will tell Daddy, and God will tell you. Okay. So we all stood there for a couple minutes in silence, and I said, all right. I looked at Nicole and I said, did God talk to you? She said, yes. I said, God talked to me. I go to my son, what did God tell you? He goes, Daddy, God's telling me that I told the truth. I said, you know what, buddy? God told me the same thing. I said, what about you, Mama? She said, yes, God told me he was telling the truth. I said, all right, no punishment. And the biggest smile came across his face. And so, I apologized to him for thinking he was doing something wrong. And I think it was a big lesson for him at that point in time. Which leads me to today's verse. It comes from the book of Luke, chapter 12, verses 2 and 3. And I got a couple of different translations. The first one comes from the New Living Translation. It says this, that time is coming when everything that is covered up will be revealed, and all that is secret will be made known to all. Whatever you have said in the dark will be heard in the light, and what you have whispered behind closed doors will be shouted from the housetops for all to hear. All right. The Living Bible puts it this way. It will become as evidence as yeast in dough. Whatever they have said in the dark shall be heard in the light, and what you have whispered in the inner rooms shall be broadcast from the housetops for all to hear. Now, we're trying to teach our son the importance of transparency. This way you don't have to worry about, am I lying about that? Did I do that? Who did I say this? We're trying to teach him just to always tell the truth. One of the hardest lessons for parents to get across to children. But then I also got to thinking about life as an adult. Are we totally transparent in every aspect of our lives? Are we transparent in the amount of time that we put into work? Are we stealing time from our bosses? Are we transparent and honest with the time that we're putting into our families? As a husband, are you uplifting your family in prayer? Are you co-laboring with your wife? Are you doing your share of the work in raising your child and doing the work around the house? As a wife, same thing. Are you co-laboring with your husband? Are you praying for your husband? Okay. Are you putting 100% into it? Are you being transparent? Or are there hidden areas of your heart that you're hiding? Okay. We can't hide from God. God knows it. He knows our beginning to our end. So you might as well get it out there. Okay. Is there maybe a text or a conversation that you've had throughout the day that maybe you shouldn't have, or maybe it went too far? Or was there a flirty conversation that you shouldn't have had? Okay. These are all things that Jesus held us to a higher standard, right? He said, if you've lusted after a woman, and likewise a man, in your heart, you've already committed adultery with them. Okay? Jesus said, if you have hatred in your heart, you've already committed murder. You've already killed your brother. Okay? So we need to protect our heart, and we need to be transparent, but we also need to protect our hearts. Okay? Because out of our hearts comes really what's inside of us. That's what flows out of our mouth. Okay? So short verses, but very, very impactful. Okay? How are you living your life? Do you have a couple of skeletons that you've been hiding for years? Okay? Think about it. Okay? Serious stuff. Some skeletons, not so terrible. Others carry heavy, heavy, heavy consequences. All right, guys. Hope this was a blessing. Have a great night. We'll be back to you tomorrow. God bless.